I was telling them earlier, Skip, though I always pronounced it Deitch, but I guess it's Deitch. Gene Deitch was a Czechoslovakian animator whose work probably everyone has seen without being aware of it. He passed away over the weekend at 95, at the age of 95. Most notoriously, and this was where I first saw his name, he directed a series of Tom and Jerry films for MGM in the 1960s. He only directed a few of them. He only produced a few of them, like 12 or 13. Skip says I looked how it was pronounced. So you looked it up? Okay, so well, if it's on the internet, it's true, right? But in the 1960s, Gene Deitch produced and directed a series of Tom and Jerry cartoons for MGM, and that was in the mid-60s, and we only did a few of them, but we all grew up seeing them on TV because they were syndicated in a package together with the old classic MGM Tom and Jerry cartoons. And next to those classic cartoons, which were some of the most lavishly produced theatrical short cartoons in history, packaged next to those, his stuff looked just awful. It wasn't a good thing for him. Miranda says, I only had a little to donate today. We'll do a bigger one Saturday. Well, I appreciate it. And Miranda, you've donated so much, you don't have to. But that brings up the point that we are a nonprofit and we've got a donation thing going on here. This person on Mixer asked, are you an actor? I used to be. Not anyone you would recognize. I'm a cartoonist these days. I draw for a living. Sometimes I live stream my art. Mostly I don't. I used to be a YouTuber. I was on YouTube for 7 years or so. I did book reviews. I did 350 something book reviews. The name of my private channel on YouTube is Thinkbolt, ThinkBolt. There's like 650 videos on that channel. But thank you for watching, whatever the case. But Gene Deitch, the Tom and Jerry cartoons, the unfortunately positioned Tom and Jerry cartoons are the thing that most people saw of his work, which is unfortunate because he did much better work. I'm going to do a tribute to Gene, like Skip did earlier today. Skip showed Gene's animated version of Where the Wild Things Are, which I don't think I had ever seen all the way through. I knew I had seen bits and pieces of it, and I probably did not see it with the original sound. And Skip was pointing out that the original sound was very unusual. It's a really old jazz off of a '78 record, which sounded slightly warped, really strange. Yeah, I don't know if I'd ever seen that. Probably when I was younger and didn't realize who it was. But one of the other things I saw that Gene Deitch did when I was a really small child, my family and I, on television, we saw his Silly Sidney cartoons. He produced a series of cartoons for Terrytoons in the late 50s. He worked for Terrytoons from like 1955 to 58, very brief time. But he produced a series of a character called Silly Sidney. My family and I called him Sick Sidney, Sick Sidney, because there was one cartoon called Sick Sidney, which was our favorite. And I may show you one of those. I'm thinking about it. But my favorite Gene Deitch cartoon was called Munro. It was he produced it in 1960. It was based on a story, based on a written story by Jules Pfeiffer. It was something that he wanted to do, and he got a film production company to finance it for him, and he moved back to Czechoslovakia in 1959 or 60 just to produce that, and it won an Academy Award. And I'm going to show you that one right now. I will turn off my microphone for the time being.
To the right, This is all about Munro, who was 4. There was nothing unusual about Munro. He wouldn't wash his face.
There's a good darling. No. Good dear.
He wouldn't eat.
Good dear. Come, dear, dear, darling, dear. That's a good
He wouldn't
dear,
sleep.
That's a good dear, darling, dear.
His was a stable, well-rounded, fully integrated life. Then, one day, he received a letter. He had one of his big friends read it to him.
It's from Local Draft Board 92, and it says your friends and neighbors send you greetings.
So while the other kids played and chased and did exactly what was normal for them, Munro came to the shocking realization that at the age of 4, he'd been drafted. The next morning, Munro went for his physical.
Nah, they'll never take me.
Oh, my back. I got a bad back, boy.
Well, my doctor says Army food will kill me. Are you kidding? Me in the Army? Oh, boy. They want to let me off, I know. I got a verblinter of the spine. Oh, they have to let me off. They'll kill my mother.
Above me, mister.
Now the left eye, now the right eye, that's all.
Drop your shorts. Now hop around on 1 foot. That's all. Any history of mental illness in your family? Okay, that's all.
Munro tried to explain that he was just a little boy. But the doctors were too busy drafting a famous ball player to even notice him.
Smile, Billy. Hey, Doc, pump his hand. That's it. Shake like you like him. Good.
And so Munro was classified 1A.
My father's got friends in the Pentagon.
Well, I'm going to appeal.
A fat lot they care about my mother, boy.
Above me, mister.
Go home, settle all your business affairs. You'll hear from us in 21 days.
Kindly step to the rear of the car, please.
And so Munro went to war. The sergeant couldn't speak English very well. He spoke in code.
I want to welcome you men to the Army. You meet us halfway, we'll meet you halfway. This is a time of world struggle. I'll explain the issues. Our side is in favor of God, the other side isn't. Any questions?
It was all very simple. Even Munro could understand. Okay, this won't kill you. Move up. Okay, let's go. This won't kill you. Come on, move up. Let's go. Okay. Now Munro was a full-fledged soldier. He learned to play all the games that soldiers play, like face.
Right, left, up, face, down, face, in, face, out, face, face.
Or another game called Take This Man's Name, where everyone must sweep and clean. And then the man who was it would walk past each bunk and say,
Take this man's name.
oh, there were so many games to play. But poor Munro, oh boy, he was very tired. He went to the sergeant.
I'm only 4. I'm only 4.
It is the official policy of the Army not to draft men of 4. Ergo, you cannot be 4. Ergo, you only think you're 4. Go on sick call. So, the next morning, Munro went on sick call. Everybody's faking. You, what's wrong with you?
I'm only 4.
How long you been feeling this way?
I'm only 4.
Open your mouth. We'll soon fix this.
I'm only 4.
Munro was sent on his way with a box of white pills and a warning to stop faking. Sick call was over. But try as he might, Munro could not get over the idea that he was 4. He went to the psychiatrist.
I'm a lingerer, eh? Bucking for a psycho discharge, are you? I've handled your type before.
He went to the chaplain.
My son, you will find life here in the Army so much more rewarding if you make the best of it and decide to face realities. Let's have another chat real soon.
He went to the colonel.
Get out of here, you little goof-up, or I'll shove you in the stockade for a month.
Well, Munro promised he'd try, really try this time. For if so many wise men claimed it was impossible for him to be four, how could he be four? From now on, he would be a soldier. He would march with the best of them. He would shoot with the best of them. And if need be, he would go to war with the best of them. A new bunch of men.
See that man? That's a soldier. That's what we're going to train you to be. We're going to separate the men from the boys.
And Munro began to cry.
Hey, stop that crying, soldier.
The sergeant looked embarrassed.
Stop that crying, soldier. Stop that crying, soldier. Stop that crying, soldier.
Then out came the general.
Soldiers don't cry. Only little boys cry. Are you a soldier or a little teensy-weensy crying baby boy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, then, you're nothing but a little baby boy. Obviously.
Simple logic.
And once they'd said it, Munro began to look different to them.
I rule that this is a little boy.
Of course. It's logical. A little boy.
Sign here, just a simple release.
The day Munro was sent home, they held a big parade in his honor. There were newsreel photographers and television and his mother and his father and all the kids in the neighborhood. And the general even read a message from the president.
I hold no fear for our nation's future when even a mere lad of 4 is stirred strong enough by our cause to enlist himself in the service of his country.
I'm from the American Legion. You want to join?
Munro was a hero. Ah, his parents were so proud. But from that time on, whenever he became cranky, his mother would just remind him of the army, and Munro would be a good boy.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Papa.
A very good boy indeed.
Well, there you have it. Munro, directed by Gene Deitch, 1961, an Academy Award. So one of my all-time favorite cartoons. Certainly my favorite Gene Deitch cartoon. Skip was pointing out that he's pointing out the things that I was going to point out. The voice work, almost all of the voices were done by Howard Morris in that cartoon, except of course the voice of the baby boy and the voice of the little girl. Howard Morris, pretty much everyone in the world would recognize him from the Andy Griffith Show. He played Ernest T. Bass. Skip was the character Ernest, was he one of Gomer Pyle's cousins? Or, because it seemed like everybody was cousins in that show. I don't specifically remember where Ernest T. Bass was placed in the hierarchy there, but he was a regular on that show. And people of my generation will recognize his voice as the voice of Jughead from the Archie cartoons from the early 70s. Howard Morris's voice was all over cartoons in the 1960s and 70s. This particular film was a good example of how he's one of those cartoon voices that you would think would be recognizable no matter what he's doing, but he did so many different kinds of voices in that cartoon that you actually don't peg half of them as being the one guy. It's a great cartoon, one of my favorites. I think it's the best example of Gene Deitch's work, and a really good example of how post-theatrical, post-UPA limited animation styles can produce a really excellent cartoon. and done in the style of Jules Feiffer. Jules Feiffer wrote stories like that all the time, and illustrated his own stories. And he drew in that very simple, scribbly little style. And Gene Deitch reproduced that style for that cartoon. Limited animation can produce great results. I'll end with that other Gene Deitch cartoon, if you want. I picked another one. There's no reason not to at this point. It's the cartoon I mentioned that I knew as a child called Sick, Sick Sidney. 1958, I think, is when it was made. They were made for television, but they were also released theatrically. There was one of the other cartoons in the Silly Sidney series that was nominated for Academy Award. It was called Sidney's Family Tree. Sick, Sick Sidney was not nominated for an Academy Award, but this is an example of stuff that Gene Deitch was creating for Terrytoons. Gene Deitch was not involved in the creation of the latter-day Terrytoons like Deputy Dog or Possible Possum or the Mighty Heroes. He was not involved in that stuff. He was with Terrytoons very briefly. But let's see, do I have desktop audio turned on? Alright, we will switch to Sick, Sick Sidney, and I'll turn off my mic.
Oh, I've just got to stop sucking my trunk. After all, I'm 44 now. My trunk is shaking like a leaf. I'm nervous as can be. I'm sick. Sick. I need psychiatry. Those awful noisy jungle sounds I simply can't endure. For an elephant as big as I'm terribly insecure. Don't do that! You know how nervous I am! Just look at me! My trunk is shaking like a leaf! Oh, why was I born into such a noisy environment? These jungle noises, they're driving me crazy! I'm sick! What's that? What's that noise?
Safari!
Safari! Safari! Safari! Safari's coming!
Hold it, Sidney. What's the rush?
Safari! Didn't you hear? They're coming to take us all to a zoo!
What's so bad about that? 3 squares a day, nothing to do. You ought to go, Sidney. In your condition, the ocean voyage would do you good.
Ocean voyage? Oh, I get seasick. Go ahead. Go get captured. Not me. Oh, dear. They just don't make trees like they did when I was a little boy. If I just had a big fat tree to hide behind. Gazelles. Zoos never take gazelles. I'll make believe I'm a gazelle, and they won't notice me. I'll be safe.
I spy a fine specimen of snake, Papa.
A good and true snake. And he crawls honestly. But we take no snakes on this trip.
Right, Papa. No snakes.
No snakes! They don't want any snakes! I know! I'll be a snake! A snake in the grass! Hiss, Hiss! Hiss, hiss! Oh! Oh, go away!
What you doing, Sidney?
Oh, it's you, Carol. I'm trying to keep from being caught by that awful safari.
You got nothing to worry about, Sidney. They don't want no elephants.
No elephants? No elephants? What do they mean they don't want any elephants? Everybody wants an elephant. An elephant is kind and loyal and trustworthy and big and fat and lovable. And they don't want an elephant? Well, we'll see about that.
Did we bag a good lot, Papa?
Truly, we have bagged honestly, and that's the beauty of the thing, to bag honestly.
More milk, Papa?
It is good. And now I feel the good tired. The ball game is safe and over. Let us rest.
Night, Papa.
Well, I guess I know a brush-off when I see one. Oh, they make me so mad, and it's bad to be mad. But I'm glad I'm mad. You hunters, I'm captured! You got me, you captured me, I'm yours, all yours! Give me some room, fellas, give me some room, hey? Oh, isn't this exciting, going to the zoo! Koogamora, Glockamora! I'll hold my breath if you do. I'll throw a tantrum. Oh, don't leave me. Oh, look, fellas, you gotta take me. Everybody loves elephants. Just look at me. I'm so fat and lovable. Please, take me with you. I'll work for peanuts. I'll sweep my cage every day. They left me. Well, good riddance. I'm glad you're all gone. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you all. Who needs them? Now it'll be nice and quiet in the jungle. It is quiet. It's too quiet. Oh, I'm lonesome. Oh.
All right, there you have it. 6'6" Sidney. An example of what Gene Deitch was doing at Terry Toons briefly in the late 1950s. Someone from Mixer by the name Rise and Revolt just joined us. Said, "What are you streaming? LOL." That was an example of a cartoon directed by Gene Deitch for Terry Toons in 1958. He's a world-famous animator who died over the weekend. He died at the age of 95. That was a character he created named Silly Sidney. At the beginning of the show, 90 minutes ago, I showed an Academy Award-winning cartoon that he created called Munro, based on a Jules Feiffer story. If you're interested in the history of animation, Mr. Rise and Revolt, please go watch that. And please give us a follow. Thank you for coming, by the way. Our friend Javier joined us briefly on Twitch. I don't know if he's still here. He said he'll have to check out the stream later because he can't join us. But he does say that he watched the movie. He says the previous movie with the living toys. That would have been the mascot. And he says it was the creepiest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, it's a creepy thing. That's why I wanted to show it to people. But today we started out talking. Rise and Revolt says his style looks familiar. Yeah, Gene Deitch was very influential in creating that look for Terry Toons in the late 1950s. Terry Toons was the first of the major animation studios to switch to creating animation for television. They were the first one to sell their entire library of cartoons to syndication for television, and they were the first to switch over to creating animation for television. None of the other big studios like Warner Brothers or MGM or Paramount really made animation for television. So the animators from their studios left to start their own studios and started making animation for television. Miranda says, I still have dreams about the mascot. Yeah, that was a weird cartoon. But yeah, you've definitely seen Mr. Rise and Revolt. You've definitely seen Gene Deitch's work. He's one of those animators whose work everyone has seen without knowing it. In the mid-1960s, I talked about this at the beginning of the show. In the mid-1960s, he was hired by MGM to create a new series of Tom and Jerry cartoons, which was a poor choice because Tom and Jerry were a well-established franchise, and MGM had created some of the most beautiful and lavishly made, some of the most expensive theatrical animated cartoons for Tom and Jerry in the 1940s. And for him to come along in the mid-1960s and use that same limited television animation style on Tom and Jerry was a mistake, because of course when those cartoons were syndicated for television, they were packaged right next to all those great cartoons from the 40s, and they just look awful next to those. But you go back to the beginning of the show and look at the one that I showed before. We talked more about him at the beginning of the thing. And thank you for joining us. Unfortunately, we're ending. I spent the rest of the program unboxing odd stuff from storage that I have here, and we spent most of the time putting together an old jigsaw puzzle that I found. But that's going to be it for today. Rise and Revolt says, thanks for the lesson. Thank you for watching. Please give us a follow. Rise and Revolt is now following. Thank you. So we've got, that makes 3 followers now on Mixer. I put us on Mixer. I started broadcasting on Mixer just out for the hell of it because we had a Mixer account. And I thought I might as well use it. Michelle points out that Gene Deitch also did some Popeye cartoons. He did. He did a little bit of everything. There's too much he did to mention. He did some of the Popeye cartoons for King Features in the late 60s or maybe even the 70s. Those were bad, honestly. Those the King Features Popeye cartoons were pretty bad. The other cartoons that King Features was doing at the time, Miranda says bye. Thank you for coming, Miranda. The other cartoons that King Features was doing at the time were things like Snuffy Smith and Beetle Bailey. Other properties from the King Features newspaper comic strips, and they were bad. Yeah, they were not good. But thank you everybody for watching.